What is going on? I thought it'd be kind of fun to share my thoughts on the GW preview. And I know this is about a week or so after everybody else put up the video, but I wanted to make one anyway. So hopefully you stick around. I think this preview included one of GW's biggest fail products that I can imagine. We'll see, of course, if it sells good, but we'll get to that. But I don't think it looks particularly great. So let's jump on over and see what we got here. All right, so this is the GW preview page. We're not going to watch the videos or nothing. Horus Heresy. I don't know really anything about Horus Heresy as far as the game. This model here, I believe the lion, is pretty sweet. I like him better with the helmet, though. These Terminators for the Night Lords are also sweet. Pretty much the only models, I mean, some of the vehicles for Horus Heresy, like Forge World stuff, is pretty cool. But all the custom-looking Terminators are pretty awesome. So if you were looking for a good unit of Terminators for any of your 40k armies, check out the Forge World Horus Heresy stuff. And normally I wouldn't even recommend anything Forge World, but just as like an alternate look to your army. Like if you're playing a Chaos Night Lords army, I mean, you got to have these as your Terminators, right? They look so cool. So Book 9 of the Horus Heresy, very popular according to other YouTubers that I've watched, but nothing that I'll be picking up. Now this one here, Necromunda, I love Necromunda. It saddens me when I see in like the Necromunda Facebook groups, people wondering what the best loadout is, or the best gang build, or what are the best weapons for my gang. And I really don't think the rules for Necromunda are strong enough to support that kind of min-max competitive mentality at all. I think this game is very, very fun, but it has to be approached with like a level of narrative fun to it, right? Like the players can't be like, oh, this gun's the best, so I gave all my champions the same gun and all the same skill that maybe is the best, right? It just doesn't really work that well, in my opinion. Also, this game is really, really fun multiplayer. 3 or more players running like 3 to 5 guys each, and then, battle royale, everybody for themselves, or make up your own, narrative objectives. We did one back, we haven't played Necromunda in a little while, but we did one back where everybody was picking up loot crates, and there was the possibility at the end of the battle, if you had a loot crate, that you could give your weapon the like shocking or electric or flame trait. So kind of a narrative thing, like, upgrade a little weapon. Pretty cool. This box set here is awesome. All Necromunda models are awesome, except for the Forge World Potato. If you don't know who I'm talking about, there's this absolute dog shit Forge World model that looks like a floating potato for Necromunda. I don't know how it got produced, but it is awful. But anyway, these guys are really cool. If you're playing, despite the game, I think, being better in kind of a narrative mindset, I 100% would not glue a Necromunda model on a flight stand like this. Like, the rules are pretty relaxed in that a character with a long rifle and a scope, basically, can shoot you on a 2+ across the board in heavy cover. So you could literally be in heavy cover and all the way across the board and getting hit on a 2+ with like starting gang models, which is really not great. And that's why I'm saying it's better if you kind of play it a little narrative and a little funsy. But either way, I would not put a guy flying through the air, because there'd be way too many things that hit him on 2+. He'd always be pinned. And when you're pinned, you lay the model down on their back to show them that, they're not injured, but they are pinned from being shot at. And yeah, just laying down this really tall flying model, I don't think so. Looking at the models, really, really cool. Like I said, all the Necromunda models besides the Forge World Potato are really good. These dogs, everybody was going crazy for the dogs. And I definitely heard some pretty funny jokes on YouTube. I don't remember the podcast or video, so sorry, but people were like, oh, this box set is 2 dogs and 6 free figures. Because everybody's going to be buying it for the dogs. So definitely worth checking out. Get into Necromunda if you have a good group of friends you play with. Highly recommend Necromunda. If you guys all play maybe more competitive style, I don't think it's going to be right for you. I don't think you're going to really enjoy it. At least that's my take on it. But that might just be because I don't necessarily enjoy that highly competitive atmosphere. This model here is pretty darn cool. I'm guessing, I think he has 6 arms, 5 arms. Is there an arm back there too? 5 or 6 arm pistol guy, almost in Necromunda fashion or all sci-fi movies or movies in general. If you are shooting 2 pistols at the same time, you're way more badass than if you have 1 or a machine gun, right? 2 pistols is king for badass. This guy's got 6, so he's the ultimate badass. Definitely a cool model, and when we see him painted up by other people in different schemes and all the different color choices people are going to use for the cords and the orb and the eyes and everything, it's going to look really great, and it already does. Such a cool model. Very, very unique. Like, it's cool to see the Necrons getting kind of reimagined here a bit. A lot of cool new Necrons coming out. This product here, I think the only thing I'm really excited about in 9th edition 40K is Crusade. Now, I'm not going to play Crusade until I have a new codex, a 9th edition codex for either the Eldar or the Admech. And I've been possibly brainstorming if I want to start a small Sisters of Battle army just for Crusade. But I really love this idea. It's basically, I don't have a huge knowledge base on, say, Dungeons and Dragons, but I'm pretty sure when you buy Dungeons and Dragons supplements, you buy like little world books and little, location supplements, things like that. And I think that's kind of how they're approaching this. So basically, this sounds cool enough. You are playing Crusade on this Necron planet, and I think it's a win, depending on price. And I think that Crusade, I'm so happy to see already Crusade is getting an additional supplement, because that means they're going to be supporting it like for a while. They didn't make just one book. They don't have just one planned, right? This is going to be a thing for a while, which means potentially the Crusade system could get really, really good. I thought originally Crusade was going to be its own rule book or its own like separate book in general without being in the rule book, because it sounds like there's so much room. You could have map campaigns and, fighting over territories, dominating cities or spaces in the galaxy or whatever. All kinds of cool stuff you could do. This is probably just the start of it. I'm very excited to check out what's in this book. I'm not going to pick it up right away because, like I said, I'm not playing 9th edition until one of my armies gets a book. But I'll be happy to watch the YouTube reviewers who get these things early to see if it's worth picking up for when we do finally get around to playing our Crusade. Terrain set. Awesome. Always. People love terrain. GW makes cool terrain. It's very expensive generally. And I'm not, only during this time of COVID have I been playing any games like this at home, and we've been playing Warcry. So I have the Warcry starter set terrain, and that's the only terrain I own, basically. So I'm not going to be buying this. I don't have a home table set up or anything. And despite how cool all this terrain is, scratch that. I was going to say all these like pipes on the ground never do or mean anything. Like, they're just scattered terrain that get in the way of moving models, really. But they look cool, but they, in the past, pretty much meant nothing. But I guess now you could give them keywords like make you -1 hit, you stand behind them. So pretty cool. This little church thing, definitely a cool little piece. But I feel like 40K, I think you want a couple big pieces, not a bunch of little like scattery pieces like this. I think a few large pieces that actually, block line of sight, can hide things behind, probably a little better. This product here, the Warhammer 40K chapter approved tactical deployment Master Terrain to Control the Battlefield mission pack sounds like the biggest flop I've ever heard of. Literally just a terrible, terrible product. I can't even imagine how bad this is. Like, now, granted, maybe they just explained it wrong when they were talking about it. Like maybe the guys in the preview video didn't have enough information on the product. But the way they made it sound was you and your friend each bring 3 pieces of terrain, or you and your opponent. And this gives you the balanced, competitive way to set your 3 pieces of terrain and them set their 3 pieces of terrain. And then the examples they were giving were like, oh, and then you could, put your themed terrain on your display board, which is a cool idea, but like, it's such a bad idea. This is such a bad idea. Just picture if somebody has a whole bunch of, say, no line of sight weapons, and one of their pieces of terrain is a 12-inch high wall that's 6 inches across, and they can hide all their no line of sight weapons behind it, for example. Or basically everybody's going to be taking the ultimate obscuring ruins, whatever. It's just, it makes no sense to me why anybody would buy this book. Like, for example, let's say me and you are about to play a game of 40K. We, if we're at the game store, can go grab some terrain off the shelves, put it on the table, set it up, and play. At no point did either of us need to have a book to tell us how to set up terrain and have a fun game, right? We could just set it up. And we certainly didn't have to spend money for that. And then another example, like, I think they imagine, let's say me and you are strangers, and I put up on Facebook, hey, anybody want to get a game of 40K on Saturday? And you respond, yeah, I'll be there. Let's meet at 1 o'clock, right? We never met before. And GW, I guess, thinks we're both going to bring 3 pieces of terrain and both own this book. And just, I have no idea. Now, my nightmare, this book seems so stupid. I don't get it. Or maybe I'm dumb. That's also very, very likely. But okay, so here's my nightmare scenario. This chapter approved tactical deployment mission pack, terrain to control your battlefield, comes in a dual set with this Warhammer Crusade mission pack book. Like a dual book thing, where to buy this, you have to also buy this. I would hate that so much. I would not want to ever give money to this idea here. This product seems very bad. And on top of that, they won't know how bad this product is if they sell a whole bunch of these if they're grouped together. Now, I don't know if they're grouped together. They just both seem like they're maybe kind of small books. Like, I can't imagine they're really much bigger than maybe a white dwarf. So maybe they're going to be grouped together, maybe not. I don't know. They look very thin, although I guess you can't necessarily see the side. But I'm not picturing this as like a giant encyclopedia of information. Now, of course, GW could load it up with all kinds of lore and cool artwork and stuff, so we'll see. But I can't wait to actually see some people review this book just to see what it even is, because the way they described it, it sounded absolutely terrible. Shockingly bad. This here, Warcry, the only game I've been playing for months now because of COVID. Super, super fun. Warcry is a win, 100%. There are major balance issues. Just really bad balancing of the game. Really high randomizing of like scenarios, which is sometimes fun. But that being said, we've been playing mostly 3 and 4 player games of Warcry. We made a D20, I guess, scenario guide or whatever. I can't think of the word. I'm blanking here. Basically, every turn we roll a D20, we consult a chart, and that tells us how we can score victory points for that turn. So it might be like, oh, I rolled a 12. Okay. Most people on the second floor or above, right? High ground. And then next turn, whoever gets the most gets 4 points. If you have one guy, you get 1 point, that kind of thing. Max is 4 points. Next round might be whoever has the most models in the center of the board. And then the last round might be kill the opponent's shield, which when there's 4 players, that means kill any other shield members on the board. Stuff like that. It's really, really fun. It's really great. The warbands are not balanced in any way imaginable. Some of them are way, way, way better than the others. Shockingly so. Like, I can't believe GW let that. Like, I don't understand who playtests some of this stuff. Because just as like casual friends having fun, you'll read something and it just won't even necessarily actually do anything of value in the game. And I just can't picture somebody like playtested that at all. But that being said, the game is really good. Also, if you guys just play with the starter warbands, the Unmade versus the Spire Tyrants or the Corvus Cabal or the Iron Golems, all of those are actually pretty balanced and pretty fun with each other. Only a few of the kind of Age of Sigmar factions are weak enough to feel kind of balanced in line with those others, and some of them are just absurd. So in the 4-player game, the absurd warbands don't matter because it's not one-on-one, so you're not taking the full brunt of its overpoweredness. And also, the people could say team up on some of their models a little bit. If they got 5 super-powered models, well, maybe the other players will throw in a few extra meat shield chaff guys on them and tie them up or whatever. So you don't feel like you get beat down quite as severely as if a one-on-one game. This product here, Warcry Catacombs, very excited about. I'm not excited to own. Well, let's go for this product. I will buy 100%. I'm loving Warcry right now, and I think the game only has room to get better and better. I was not expecting there to be this underground fighting. I don't know if underground fighting is enough new stuff to the game. Like, is underground fighting that much different than fighting on the ground floor of a battlefield? I don't know. We'll wait and see the rules. Hopefully there's some cool stuff in it. These warbands are awesome. I don't necessarily want these dark elf looking ones, although they're really cool looking. But these flame guys, especially this one right here, they are awesome. And I was probably going to pick up this warband anyway because they look so fun to paint and hopefully play, that I'll happily just buy this box and get them in there. Now, this board looks awesome. I'm sure the contrast of this photo is boosted. It's not like the flames are really glowing when you get it home. Now, this one has a lot of archways. Like, let's just roughly count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 archways. That's a lot of archways. 2 bridges. 2 bridges, maybe a little bridge there. Maybe a little teeny tiny bridge. And some cool scatter terrain. All this scatter terrain and stuff doesn't really mean a whole lot in the game as of right now. Sometimes you got to be standing near stuff like that, like obstacles and things. They don't really take that much of your movement away. But we'll see how it works out in the dungeons here, the catacombs. Oh, another pro tip. If you're playing Warcry, increase the turn limit of all 3-turn games to 4-turn games. That way it completely removes the unbalanced factor of your models. Warbands that have slow-moving models, when they come in on turn 3, the last turn of the game, if they're not high-flying, fast models, they do nothing, right? If they don't have a range attack or they don't move really fast, they generally do absolutely nothing. So just increase your games to 4 turns, and that really makes the game more fun, I find. And a little bit more deadly, because usually by the end of turn 3, things are really starting to pick up as far as the violence. So by the end of turn 4, a lot of things are dead. Pretty fun. It looks like here, there's possibility, this is somewhat of a display, well, not somewhat, this is a display, but I'm curious if there's some way to use their arches. Like, you see these 2 arches here in the top of this picture? Those are the 2 right here with like this long bridge across it with some doorways on either side. Curious what that is, if that's a possibility, or yeah, I don't know. Also, here's a fun thing. In a large game of Warcry, if you had two boards set up, if you had the table space, you could set up one like this and another one like this, and then put maybe some potholes or whatever, some holes in, not, whatever, some terrain features that you could then represent a model could go to and jump down and then land down here, right? You could have a corresponding hole, like a dice with the number 1 on it on the top floor, say a dice with the number 1 here, and then a dice with the number 1 there, and then you go to that dice and then you can drop down. Could be kind of cool. Play a 2-board game with like some extra models. Kind of a la this situation here where this guy gets kicked down into the hole and then people are down there. Could be cool. This terrain here is more of the starter Warcry terrain. I think it's looks exactly the same, just less. I still haven't finished painting all mine. I kind of went maybe a little overly complicated. I don't really want more of this kind of terrain. I already have the other Warcry set, and it's plenty to fill up the board pretty good, and my buddy has it. So, between the two sets, and he's got the forest set too, so we got a pretty good selection of terrain. And in general, when COVID's over, I play at the game store, not at home. So even if I brought my set, there would still be plenty of little things to choose from the game store's terrain that I could add to my board. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this set. I definitely don't need more like wooden spiky fences and little like scattered fountains and stuff. Just, I don't know. I mean, it's really cool stuff. It's highly detailed. It's awesome. I'm just not much of a terrain collector. That being said, maybe I'll hold on to it just in case for some reason this COVID never ends and we play at home forever. This here, Warhammer Underworld's Dire Chasm, obviously called Dire Chasm because Slaanesh is in there and it kind of sounds like dire orgasm or something. This guy carrying the owl is going to be awesome. But this set here has a Slaanesh warband. I've never really been interested in playing Warhammer Underworlds, but I really don't mind the idea of having some small games like Warhammer Underworlds or Gaslands, Warcry, Necromunda, Rumble Slam. My buddy plays Aristia. I don't have that one. But, games like that where, say, you go to like a convention like Adepticon or LVO, Blood Bowl, for example. Games like that where if you're going to travel a little bit, maybe you want to just go hang out at the convention, but maybe you want to play something. I could actually see myself buying this set for the Slaanesh warband to paint them up and have a little Underworld warband. That way if I go to a convention or maybe if there's like a local tournament, right, some weekend at the game store that I play at, maybe I'll jump in and play. I'm not interested at all in buying other Warhammer Underworld sets to mix and match cards. I will just use whatever the cards come with in this box. That's the part I actually hate the most about this game, is the card collecting mechanics of it. I just, no interest in collecting cards anymore at this point in my life. Another really cool thing I think would be they should give all the Underworlds warbands Warcry cards. Like, they make really good models to use, like, for your Warcry warband. So if I'm playing Slaanesh, which I am, I got some of the cards right here, Slaanesh. Well, if there's a cool looking fiend in this box set, then of course I'd want to use that fiend in my Warcry warband. But it would actually also be pretty cool if maybe there was just a unique fiend that maybe had his own card. I don't know, maybe he had one more point of movement and 5 less hit points or something like that, whatever. I don't know, just an idea. This guy's adorable and definitely a cool little skink. He's still a skink to me. It's going to be pretty cool to see what all the lizardmen look like for this warband. I know a lot of people are hoping for a Croxagore, which definitely could be cool. Beastgrave Arena of Death. This one sounds like, it's like a multiplayer Warhammer Underworlds. I like playing multiplayer Warcry a lot. Never played Underworlds outside of one demo, so not something I'm going to be picking up. But I probably will pick this up, especially depending on how cool the Slaanesh models are. And I think last but not least, Shadow and Pain. This set is going to be one of those sets that sells out immediately, and you're going to have to buy the characters for a lot of money or wait potentially 6 months or however long until they're available separate. This character here, the Slash monster dude, so awesome. Just like, oh, such a cool model. I'm a huge fan of like Slanesh theme and models. I think it's such a unique, cool, I don't know, theme, I guess, in Warhammer, the Slanesh. Awesome, awesome model. I would definitely love to own this guy. Not probably buying this set, but we'll get into that in a minute. This lady here, also awesome. I think the snakes are some of the coolest models in Age of Sigmar. I don't know if she, or potentially he, I don't know, I think it's a she. I don't know if she really, I think her face and head area could be a little more unique. I don't remember. We'll look up a bit here. Let's see. Like you can see her here on the battlefield. She's not that much bigger, if at all bigger than these. And her head, and because her hair is exactly the same as them, and her mask isn't overly unique as, say, some of these ones up here with the spears. I know it's hard to see them, but all of this from her shoulders down is awesome, but her head and hair is not unique enough for her to be like a super standout model on the battlefield, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you get what I'm saying. Awesome model, but I think this area could have been a little more, amped up. Maybe some big snake shoulder pads, maybe change the hair, like maybe not the same exact. I mean, if you look at this photo, it's the same exact swoop as they all have. Now, I own a lot of Slanesh models. They're all older, like these in this box, which means they have all kinds of mold lines and crap you got to clean. They're not particularly good. I don't really love this version of the Demonettes. I think the steeds are pretty cool, but the human, like the old kind of style Marauders on the steeds are not all that great. But anyway, this set comes with a chariot, which I guess I own quite a few. The 2 boxes of Hellstriders. So you couldn't even build the Demonette ones, as far as I know. I do not think it comes with the riders for the Demonettes on steeds. It's just the Hellstrider sets, because I own a lot of the Demonette ones, and they do not come with these mortals. But I do own like 3 or 4 boxes of these two. I just never opened them. Some more Demonettes, which is cool, I guess. And these 2 hero models, which aren't particularly big, 40 mil maybe base models, but they are awesome. Now, I think a win on this set would be if you wanted to start up some of the snake army action, especially if you could get with this set and a buddy gets this set and you trade them all your Slanesh for their snakes. That'd be cool. Apparently, I haven't played Sigmar in a while, and I guess these Daughters of Cain snakes are actually really bad in the game, so that's unfortunate, but maybe there'll be a new book or new rules coming for them. And either way, all this stuff is actually usable in Warcry outside of that chariot, so you got that going for you. So if I was still wanted more Slanesh and building it up, and if I was still building up all kinds of random different Sigmar armies, this would be a box that I would buy 100%, because in my mind I would be like, oh, I'll probably start a snake army one day. And I would actually love to paint some of these snakes. I just don't see myself wanting to jump in on this one. Well, that's what I say now, but I'm going to try to hold off on getting this just because I don't need it. I don't like Sigmar right now. I don't think the game functions that well, despite many people actually seem to love it right now, which I've made videos about, or at least asked in like Facebook groups before of like, I don't understand why people like Age of Sigmar right now. It's just, even in my comment section. And I'm not saying it's somebody's fault or I cannot wrap my head around why it's a good game. It seems very, very bad. Just everything seems piled on and crappy and too many dice and just, I don't know. It seems kind of, I don't know, the game seemed very one-sided. Most battle reports I've seen seems always most books only have a single army build, more or less. People think they're being like these tactical players of Age of Sigmar. They talk about it on their podcasts and stuff, about like the tactics of it, yet they're playing the one obvious best army choice from the book. Almost never is there two equally good choices of armies from these books. It's just like people trying to find the one overpowered combo and then they just ride it until it gets nerfed, which may be somewhat true for 40k too, and sometimes it is. But in Sigmar, it seems like it's been that way for the whole thing since AOS 2. So hopefully somehow this marks the end, this next product here. The Book of Marathi, Broken Realms. Hopefully this is marking the end of AOS 2, as maybe Psychic Awakening was kind of the end of 8th edition. And hopefully after more of these Broken Realms books come out, AOS 3 will be released. And hopefully I enjoy it. I would love to get back into AOS. I like the armies. I think the models are awesome. I was always more of a Warhammer Fantasy player back in the day. I played way more Fantasy than I ever played 40k up until 8th edition, late 7th edition. I played a little bit of 40k, but I started 40k in 2nd edition, but anyway, every weekend was Fantasy, Warhammer Fantasy, and I don't miss it at all. I'm not asking for that to come back. I just want to like Age of Sigmar, so if they could do that for me, that'd be great. So we'll see what that becomes. Broken Realms, I'm thinking Psychic Awakening, Age of Sigmar. So that's cool. And one quick little thing, this spike here, I don't know. I can't tell. It's like, is that on a base? Is that a thing you get in this box? And this thing here, are those? Oh, there's two of them. Yeah, I don't know if those are things I don't think the Daughters of Cain have endless spells yet, but those probably aren't it. I don't know. I just noticed that and was wondering what that was. So if you know what that is, let me know in the comment section down below. Hopefully you enjoyed me talking about the Warhammer preview, sharing my thoughts on it. Remember, these are just opinions. I'm just somebody that likes painting and playing some games with friends. I don't take it too seriously, but I don't know. Let me know what you think. I like discussing this. I always like hearing when people have opinions on products and releases and stuff. I would consider myself somewhat of a fanboy, but I still have a critical mind of if this looks like it sucks, then it might suck. So I'm not like, say, some channels that maybe get free stuff and they can't say it sucks because they want to keep getting their free stuff, and I don't blame them. So if you like channels with opinions, please subscribe. If you like painting, please support buying some ghost brushes in the link down below on eBay, or wait for the next Kickstarter, probably next year. And hopefully I'll see you in the comments. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you guys soon.